Peace is a lie. That is what the Sith believe. They promise power. Now they wield it. We face the greatest Sith in generations. They must be stopped.
Hello there, I'm Callum Johns, and this time we're talking about this, obviously, the Knights of the Old Republic remake. Because there's to talk about. They've actually officially announced it, it's not a rumour. And there's stuff to talk about with it for sure, with how we're approaching it as EU fans. So, where do we begin? Well, pulling apart the trailer, of course. So it was nice, I thought, how they had a bit of that KOTOR music at the start, but I really wanted, even though this is just a teaser, that they would put KOTOR music throughout it, rather than just having the main Star Wars theme weave into it, because there's no reason for it to. You could have it with the original music, and it will be fine. Well, maybe even better, more nostalgic for people that have played KOTOR beforehand, which is the market that you're appealing to with this remake. And I guess one of the big things you guys would be asking is whether this is actually going to be part of the EU or if they're going to change it for new canon. And that's a reason why I'm actually doing a video on it and talking about it, because from the couple of articles I have gone into, I do not know 100% because they don't explicitly say. We can look at the official article on StarWars.com here. I'll read through it, give thoughts. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic strikes back with the new remake. Lucasfilm Games' Orion Kellogg and Asper's Ryan Treadwell speak exclusively with StarWars.com about remaking a video game classic. There are some video games that seem to change everything. Their genre, the art form, what we think a game could be. Orion Kellogg, executive producer at Lucasfilm Games, and Ryan Treadwell, lead producer at Asper, consider Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, known to fans as KOTOR, known to everyone as known to everyone that knows the game as KOTOR. You don't particularly have to be a fan to have played the game and know its acronym, among these rare works. I was a big RPG fan growing up. I started on the Apple ICC and played all the BioWare games. It wasn't until I started playing KOTOR that I really understood how cinematic they could be. Kellogg tells StarWars.com. I don't know why he specifically says BioWare games. When I first put in KOTOR and saw that the camera was pulled down to ground level and I could look up at the skyscrapers of Taris, I really felt that I'd been put in the world in a way that I never had before. The characters were speaking to me in full VO, voiceover, and reacting to my choices, whether I was going light side or dark. I felt like it was a paradigm shift. And for sure, KOTOR is the predecessor to the amazing games as well, like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, which also have, at least in my favourites of their first entries, in the way that your choices impact so much of the outcome that is to be. Be it Paragon, Renegade, Light Side, Dark Side, or in Dragon Age, just what choices you decide to make. When I was 9, my parents did two things that were incredibly impactful. They bought me my first video game console, an original Game Boy, and they sat me down with a VHS copy of A New Hope. One set me on my career path, the other kickstarted my love of storytelling, says Treadwell. When KOTOR was released, it married these two passions brilliantly. I was so excited to finally create my hero and explore the galaxy, making the choices I wanted to. As a kid, I would pretend to create my own lightsaber out of wrapping paper rolls, and this game let me customize my own. I was enamored and an instant fan. They're focusing on KOTOR for sure, but I feel like there are other video games as well that showcases Star Wars' storytelling, like the Dark Forces series and stuff like that, but it depends if he was able to play them, I guess, and that's always like the childhood thing of like, what games did I actually get to play when I was at that point in my life? The personal connection for Kellogg and Treadwell has new meaning today. Announced at the PlayStation Showcase 2021, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake will see the classic RPG return as a PlayStation 5 console exclusive at launch and for PC. So, too bad for Xbox fans that want to play it, I guess. But I've only ever played Knights of the Old Republic properly on PC anyway, because I think for the combat system, it just wouldn't work well if I tried to play it on console. Asper, the Texas-based studio that has collaborated with Lucasfilm on various projects over a decade, including a recent spate of well-received re-releases from the LucasArts era. Oh yeah, they're noticing that the re-releases are well-received from re-releasing Republic Commando, Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast, Episode 1 Racer. I love Asper for doing that for modern consoles, because that makes it more accessible to people to play some of the games from my own childhood as well. It's handling development, rebuilding the game from the ground up. So to borrow a line from Darth Vader,
"The circle is now complete."
For Kellogg and Treadwell. There's our first hint at something possibly changing, rebuilding the game from the ground up. And of course the terminology that this is a remake. We'll see if they say more. I really think that RPGs have never been the same since, says Kellogg. It's a big honor to have the opportunity to work on it. Yeah, because it led the field. It's the predecessor that set a standard, right? Speaking for the development team, most of us are AAA RPG developers, says Treadwell. This has been something that is a dream for all of us. I wonder why this is something that has been a dream for them, rather than, say, doing a KOTOR 3 or something like that. KOTOR Reborn. This is a long article. Today, KOTOR stands as one of the most critically acclaimed Star Wars games ever, with the PC version amassing a current score of 93 on Metacritic. Fans have long requested a remake to bring the title, originally developed by BioWare and LucasArts, up to modern standards. As it turns out, Lucasfilm has been listening. Up to modern standards? I feel like the storytelling needs no changes if they're gonna rewrite it. And I do have hired a new writer for it as well. Why can't they go with the original scripts? But as far as the combat system, I know that there have been people that like it and those that don't like it. And the graphics, of course, it came out a while ago. You're not going to get today's graphics on a older game, but I think that's part of the charm of it too. But to bring it up to modern standards, we'll see how much that entails. We know that KOTOR is one of the most beloved Star Wars stories ever told, Kellogg says. We really appreciate the stature that it has with all the fans out there. As hardware advances and our game making prowess advances and as storytelling techniques advance, what better time to allow players to re-experience this great story with all those lessons learned and bring it back to modern platforms using modern methods. That's something I've always wanted to do personally for a very long time, and I think everybody involved with Star Wars games has wanted to do for a very long time. Well, there's charm with the original as well, as I've said. From our side, the relationship that we have with KOTOR is long as well, says Treadwell, referencing the company's ports of the original game to iPhone and iPad. Why do you have to specifically mention iPhone and iPad? It's for Android as well. It's for mobile devices. Just say that. That encapsulates everything. Why does it specifically be iPhone and iPad? Anyway, that's a little side rant. It's something that we've been very excited about and interested in for quite a long time. We're just really excited to get in there and do this amazing game justice. We have had a long and fruitful working relationship, says Kellogg of Asper. We knew that they understood the brand, we knew that they understood how to collaborate with us, and we felt really good about that. Then, to start seeing the team that they're building and the developers that they're adding from a variety of AAA top-notch development studios from around the world, we knew that they were ready to take that step. so we're really happy to be working with them. Aspyr and Lucasfilm Games aren't in it alone, however. Sony Interactive Entertainment is a creative collaborator in the project, working closely on development with Aspyr and Lucasfilm Games, particularly on how to take full advantage of the newest cutting-edge platform. So that explains why it's PS5 restricted on consoles. Having SIE on board has been fantastic, says Kellogg. They're helping all of us navigate this space and navigate their hardware with an inside track on the cutting edge. It doesn't need to be cutting edge, just do it well. Here's an interesting part. KOTOR, which is a part of Legends storytelling, which, yeah, that's what they're calling the EU, or that bin that they're putting everything in anyway, dials the Star Wars clock back to over 4,000 years before the Skywalker saga. Hey, they got dates, not bad. They still call it the Skywalker saga though. Where, if it's EU based, that's terminology they're using for the new canon, but I guess that makes it easier to know what they're talking about. It's over 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. So there's that. The Galactic Republic is at its height and has just been through a major war. Jedi are plentiful, but so are the Sith, and the evil Darth Malak leads a growing legion of dark warriors. Players will go on an epic adventure and, along the way, visit different worlds, amass a party of memorable beings, and uncover their own mysterious past. Kinda bit on the nose if you haven't played it before. It's telling a story that should feel very familiar and authentic to Star Wars fans. That's because we bloomin' played the original KOTOR. That's why it's very familiar. And authentic is because it was written with heart and effort and with great storytellers that understand what Star Wars is. It tells the stories about light and dark, about heroes and the journeys that common people can go on to become heroes and figure out who they are. Protagonists of KOTOR, common people? Yes, okay. One of the breakout characters from KOTOR, Revan, has only grown in stature over the years with fans. Revan's is a heroic tale of succumbing to the dark side, says Treadwell. It is a deep and impactful story that has a ton of depth and interest. Indeed, Hasbro's Revan Force Effects Elite lightsaber sits behind Treadwell on a credenza in his home, proudly on display during the Zoom call for this interview. Plus, Revan looks really cool, adds Kellogg. We can't forget that. I know you're not trying to spoil the story, but that's not really Revan's tale. So what are they trying to say for things? Well, if you're looking at a KOTOR remake video, you should know the story of KOTOR. Revan's tale, I would say, is a tale of overcoming the dark side with a huge internal struggle as the outcome of KOTOR and in the Revan novel. But then in his overall tale is a cautionary tale against trying to be grey Jedi and use both sides of the Force, especially in the Shadow of Revan expansion. I know people aren't as keen on what SWTOR did with him, but that's what canonically happens story-wise, so I'm drawing on that as far as the expanded universe goes. But yeah, the canonical tale of Revan that we're actually going to experience through KOTOR is more of an overcoming the dark side than succumbing to it. Unless you choose the dark side choices, but I'm going what was laid down as canon. Though he won't give specifics, Treadwell says development on KOTOR remake has been active for a little while and in close collaboration with Lucasfilm Games. There's a lot to build on this one, so we've been having a lot of great conversations on how to build what we're doing, what are the pillars of the game, and coming up with all of that together, Treadwell says. And there's a specific reason that Aspyr and Lucasfilm are taking their time in these early stages and having those conversations. Remakes in any medium can be a dicey proposition. Change too much and you can ruin the magic. Yes. Change too little and what's the point? And the point is you make a remaster, not a remake. And then there's the weight of fan expectation. As EU fans, we don't want to change for the new canon. Kellogg and Treadwell, as fans themselves, understand all of this completely and have it top of mind. This is something that is important and impactful, says Treadwell. Our big goals on this are to bring the story to a modern audience and have it be just as impactful today as it was for players when it originally launched. Which it could be impactful for different reasons. But I feel like because KOTOR has already been out, a remake of a game won't be as impactful as the original. We've been working really closely with Asper for a long time now to deconstruct what made KOTOR so great and bring that back to new audiences because we want this game to be an incredible RPG, says Kellogg. We want this game to be just as beloved as it was before. Well, we'll see. Some of my favourite meetings to have in my week right now are to get into the nitty-gritty with Asper and talk about why do we make that choice in the original game and how does that play today? How do we expand that choice and make it even more meaningful and impactful? We think about literally every word of dialogue and other choices down to the clothes that the character is wearing. It's really nice to see them paying this much attention to it, but why don't you consult the original writer about this as well? Yes, why don't you consult the original writer? Drew Karpyshyn. It's almost like something happened between Lucasfilm and Expanded Universe writers. Anyway, we're very lucky that we played this when it came out and we have those memories as Treadwell, because I really think that a great and true approach to a remake process is to understand what that game was at the moment in time and what the memory of that game was at that moment in time. Our labour of love here is to go and realise that memory as if it were built today. To achieve this, Asper has bolstered its ranks, including some secret weapons. Remaking a beloved game like KOTOR is a big task and it requires a talented team that understands the original game at a deep level, as well as how to approach rebuilding that content, says Treadwell. We've assembled a prolific group of some of gaming's top RPG developers, including those with direct experience working on Star Wars games and video game remakes. Many of us previously worked at BioWare, with credits going back to the original KOTOR. To further bolster that, we've added some amazing developers from games like the Demon's Souls remake and Ghost of Tsushima. I really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima. Demon's Souls remake I think is only on PS5, so I haven't been able to play because I don't have one. And I'm probably going to get really chase a PS5 if they add backwards compatibility. On a side note. And the narrative team is fantastic with years of storytelling experience across the Star Wars games and comics. Who? Give us some names that we know. We also have Jason Miner and Brad Prince on the team, whose experience with the world, characters and creatures of this universe is invaluable. And we're excited to partner once again with Matt Burner, our lead gameplay designer. We worked together on Dragon Age Inquisition and we immediately fell back into our old rhythm. Interesting. Dragon Age Inquisition is the one that I've actually not finished with Dragon Age. It was a point of life thing as well as here's a huge open world, different feel to it. For Kellogg and Treadwell, access to those who worked on the original KOTOR is particularly important. We can say, what were you trying to do and what did you do? Were you trying to do and why did you do it this way? Let's make sure that we have the same goals in mind as we reapproach it this time, says Kellogg. We're just going to be able to do more things with asset variety and fidelity and storytelling that just weren't possible then, but are still going to meet the same goals. Asset variety and fidelity, yes, because gaming has improved. Storytelling, I don't know. What more can you do in storytelling that wasn't possible then? Because they were setting standards and breaking the records anyway. With storytelling, they could do maybe visual storytelling is what they mean, compared to the actual writing and the dialogue. I mean, they say they're working on dialogue, but I don't see why remaking the dialogue would be a benefit and do more with the storytelling than you were able to before, other than we have more of the EU now, so you can frame it better with a bigger picture in mind compared to when it came out and there was a lot less material to frame it with that you could reference and connect in. We'll see how much of actual EU fans they are, or just KOTOR fans. The teaser trailer revealed at PlayStation Showcase and available to view above doesn't show much, but it does feature a very cool looking Revan and a voice that fans of the original might recognise. I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favourite shop in the Citadel. Oh, wrong franchise. I can confirm that it is Jennifer Hale. We all think the world of Jennifer. She is an amazing talent and immediately slipped back into the role of Bastila when she came to help us with the teaser trailer, Treadwell says. I do think that you're going to see some other familiar voices return, but that's probably as deep as we're going to go on that one right now. So nice to see they're bringing back some of the original voices. Of course, with technology advances, they can record higher quality voices, so it would make sense to at least re-record lines. Still, in terms of graphics and feel, the teaser trailer doesn't convey something else about the game. It literally says, not gameplay, not using the in-game engine. It is absolutely going to be a cutting-edge experience, Kellogg says. Honouring the past, looking toward the future. Oh yes, this should be an interesting section, because that's what we're mostly concerned about, I think. Honouring the expanded universe. For many, KOTOR is not just among the best Star Wars games ever, but one of the best video games, full stop. The teams working on KOTOR Remake take that legacy seriously, and in honouring that legacy, the hope for Lucasfilm Games and Asper is a whole new generation of gamers who've never played it will pick up controllers. There's that. I mean, that's the reason for doing remasters and remakes, right? Is that there's certain people that go, hey, game old, game bad, but you don't really need to change as much if you're doing a remaster. And some of those people, I feel like they're just not gamers as much. I mean, not to say they aren't identifying as gamers and they could be casual gamers, but I don't think they would be classed as hardcore gamers. But also, if you're a Star Wars fan, why haven't you played it before? If it's a new generation of gamers, you're not saying it's a new generation of Star Wars fans, are you? So also the question is, are you going to change it to appeal more to the wider audience compared to what audience it had? I think KOTOR has this reputation for a reason, Kellogg says. So if you want to know what all the buzz is about, there's no better time to give it a try than when the remake drops. I mean, right now. Just right now. It's cheap on Steam, on GOG, and it's gonna be a lot cheaper than when the remake comes out. Even if you pay full price and don't wait for a sale. Play the original. It's an invitation to be a hero. It's an invitation to explore the galaxy in a way you haven't seen anywhere else. It's just a really great fun RPG to play and replay on top of that. It's also an invitation, I would say, to be a villain. Because you can just be dark-sided throughout the whole thing. And for those who have loved KOTOR through the years, it's a chance to experience something cherished in a new way. From the sound of it, KOTOR Remake is no nostalgia trip. Rather, it's a love letter to what is widely considered a Star Wars masterpiece. There's a balance with nostalgia trip and love letter there. They're saying it's no nostalgia trip, but if I'm playing a remake of the same game, I want some nostalgia with it, because you're re-meeting all of the same characters that you've met before and love. You know these characters from spending time with them, from exploring all of the conversations with them, from dark side to light side, to seeing what makes them tick when you really immerse yourself in the game. So I feel like there should be some nostalgia there, because it's still Knights of the Old Republic. It's not like it's Knights of the Old Republic 3, where, oh, you don't need to rely on nostalgia for that, because it's some completely new characters or whatever they would do with it. This is a crown jewel of the Star Wars gaming lineup, and we wouldn't be so excited to share it with everybody if we weren't absolutely confident that it was going to be an awesome game, Kellogg says. We trust Asper. We trust the team that's working on it. And we're doing the work ourselves to dig in, deconstruct, and reconnect to why people love it. Because we don't want to mess with that. We love it too, and so we want to do it right. We hope everybody feels we've done this game a service when all is said and done. I really appreciate that. They don't want to mess with why people love it. So the real telling thing will be the final product, of course. While there's a long way to go, Treadwell and Kellogg are already appreciative of the opportunity to work on a title they hold dear. This has been one of my favourite games, says Treadwell, and I'm of course a big Star Wars fan, and it has just been a dream come true to spend hours and hours talking about Gamorreans and Sith and all of the fun things that we get to do. I've been making Star Wars games for a long time, and this is why we do it, Kellogg says. You do remakes of Star Wars games that came before. We have the opportunity to retell one of the greatest Star Wars stories ever told. I feel nothing but excited and thankful for the chance to get to work on it, and I hope everybody really loves it. I know that I was saying that as a joke. Instead of having the opportunity to retell one of the greatest Star Wars ever told, why don't you write your own story that's set in the EU that would become one of the greatest Star Wars stories ever told? Dream higher. And that's what I would say. Because, yes, not everyone agrees with the original KOTOR combat-wise, but everyone can agree that it's brilliant storytelling-wise. On to Knights of the Old Republic Remake is a legendary tale remade on PlayStation 5. This is a PlayStation blog written by Ryan Treadwell. Asper Media, Lucasfilm Games, and SIE are remaking the classic RPG from the ground up for the modern age. A pinnacle of Star Wars legend storytelling, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is set over 4,000 years before the events of the original trilogy and introduces... Yeah, hey, see, look, the actual person leading the development from the Asper side is actually using the original trilogy as a reference and not Skywalker Saga. I'm like that. It's much easier for people that have watched Star Wars to be able to tell what you mean by that as well. And introduce a new story of new heroes and villains in an epic struggle for the fate of the galaxy. The team here at Asper and Sony Interactive Entertainment have joined forces with Lucasfilm Games to bring you a remake of this classic Star Wars adventure. We're rebuilding one of the greatest RPGs of all time for a new generation with modern tech, features, visuals, and more, while maintaining the integrity of the story and characters you've come to cherish. Integrity of the story. Yes. Okay, so from the impression I get so far, it's going to be expanded universe. What I would really want to see to 100% confirm that is a statement from Lucasfilm outright saying it's going to be Legends. Because, I mean, when they say a pinnacle of Star Wars Legends for storytelling, that definitely seems like it's going to be EU. But, I don't know, I get skeptical about it. I get really worried because of what's happened beforehand with taking expanded universe material and characters and stuff and then making a version of them in the new canon, I'll call it. Because if I'm playing Knights of the Old Republic, I don't want to be playing one that is changed for the new canon, but if they maintain the integrity of the story, then I'm actually going to be playing it here on the YouTube very soon after it comes out, and if it's 100% confirmed as EU, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts on it. And saying that, I would really love to start playing the original KOTOR here soon, because then we could have a direct comparison for both. If you're not familiar with KOTOR, as you'll see fans lovingly refer to it, then you're in for a treat. The original Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is a truly groundbreaking achievement, an award-winning RPG of incredible scope, immersion, and ambition with an epic narrative to match. A diverse cast of characters to meet, multiple planets to discover, challenging battles to fight, and cinematic storytelling that responds to the choices you make. It's no wonder that to this day KOTOR remains one of the most celebrated video games ever made. Why remake Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic? Well, nearly 20 years after it debuted, the original KOTOR is still one of the most beloved games of all time. And even as Star Wars travels to new horizons, we know the community is as eager as ever to return to the iconic era of storytelling and action. To this iconic era. With Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, our hope is to give both series newcomers and long-term fans an experience that can live alongside the very best modern releases. The very best Star Wars games aren't the modern releases. I'm just going to say that right here, right now. They're not. They're stuff like Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy, Republic Commando. The list goes on. We're rebuilding it from the ground up with the latest tech to match the groundbreaking standard of innovation established by the original, all while staying true to its revered story. Asper has assembled the very best talent from across the industry to create Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake. Industry veterans that have worked on great RPGs, as well as some members of the original Knights of the Old Republic development team. Their knowledge and passion for these characters, this story, and this world is unmatched. And just who is Asper? You probably know us as a studio responsible for bringing multiple Star Wars games to modern systems, including Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Star Wars Republic Commander, and yes, the original Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Now, on that list though, I will stipulate, I have not brought the original Knights of the Old Republic to the Switch and the PS4/5. They have only brought it to mobile devices, which may be a bit of a ploy to get you to play this remake on the modern consoles. We've been working closely with Lucasfilm Games on classic Star Wars games for years, and that experience has instilled our team with a deep love and respect for these timeless titles, as well as a unique perspective on how to carry them forward into the modern age. We're proud to be collaborating with Sony Interactive Entertainment and Lucasfilm Games to bring this dream to life. So what's next? Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake is a tremendous undertaking, encompassing almost every aspect of the original game. Well, they should be if they're remaking it. But why does it say almost? I would love to see it encompassing every single aspect of the original game. And if they're remaking it in the context of having more EU material around it, they could even add bits into it that expand on the original game. Since they're remaking it, let's assume it's being remade really well. They're going to expand on the original game, linking together possibly even the KOTOR comics and SWTOR on both ends of it. The Revan novel, I should say. We're still early in development, but we're happy to finally have announced a remake and hear the PlayStation community's thoughts on what you're excited to see. Whether you're new to KOTOR or one of the millions of fans who already know and love it, there's a great adventure ahead of us. We can't wait to show you more. So this all sounds very promising, I would say. All very, very promising from an EU fan point of view and someone who played the original KOTOR. There's nothing there about changing it to fit into the new canon that they say. And this is my first time reading through these articles. Like, they actually specifically say they love the original and they want to keep the integrity of the story there, which I really appreciate. Upon making sure, and I might make sure to tweet out and check on Twitter that this is going to be an actual EU game set in the Legends timeline. This is going to be cool. Of note, I think, is to talk about the gameplay as well, because it's part of what some would consider the essential experience of Knights of the Old Republic. But on the other side, I know people that haven't been able to get into the game at all. They tried playing it and they just don't like the combat system. And that is one of the drawbacks of KOTOR, I would say, is one of its weaknesses is the gameplay, because not everyone can get into it. But the story is amazing, it makes up for it. So what I would love to see is, like in the Resident Evil remake, there's an actual example of something that's really cool that they could do. Have an option to have the original gameplay as well as their modern remake gameplay system. I think that would be really cool to do, and something that would work really well for appealing to older fans as well as newer fans, especially older fans of Star Wars EU that couldn't get into the game because of that gameplay, that want to be able to experience the story and everything with the fresh new gameplay. And then also as far as me personally, I feel like the gameplay is part of the original experience of KOTOR, so we would definitely want to see that outworked in part of what would be the remake. And I mean, it would be nostalgic, but I think it would just be one of those things that appeal to both. I think the last thing I wanted to say is that Asper has only re-released games beforehand. They have not been part of a remake or creating a new game before, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that turns out. I feel like they have a good heart behind it from reading those articles, and so I am cautiously optimistic about what's going to be coming out, because I will be following this. So anything new they come up with, check my channel for videos. You can subscribe for that. Also, now that this is coming out, I'm gonna start a KOTOR run. I haven't played KOTOR on my channel yet, but I'm going to start playing it because, especially because of this. I was gonna play other games first because movie music gets copyrighted, but let's do this. Let's play KOTOR, and then if this all turns out well, I'll be playing this KOTOR remake, and we can see apples for apples, which things have they changed, what's been going on. So that'll be really awesome. But yeah, thank you guys for joining and watching. Let me know your thoughts below. I would really love to hear what you guys think of this. And I will see you guys in the next video. Hooroo.